Welcome to the next episode of Daughters of Bikers. I'm Shannon. Welcome. I'm glad that we are able to connect again here on this platform today. Today, we're going to discuss a little bit deeper with what we were touching on last episode with the whole Project 2025, the chaos that's being brought forth. And I thought it would be very important for us to discuss using Guardians of the Craft and and giving you some other deep secrets to protect yourself and your practice throughout this chaotic time. So again, welcome back to Daughters of Bikers. I am Shannon, and today's episode, we are going to get real about protection, about keeping ourselves, our sacred practices, and our communities safe from those who might be trying to turn us into, say, law enforcement, or to even just to basically undermine our work or to delegitimize our work. Because Project 2025, again, we have to resolve back to this is a a framework that is trying to take us into a white national Christian nation where we only follow and abide by the Christian beliefs that they decide and they dictate. And so we have to really understand that right now, the shift that we are experiencing, one, yes, our planet, she is going through a major shift. She is raising her frequency beyond all. Then, if you look at other science that is out there, Schumann's resonance, those frequencies are elevating and becoming more frequent. We have earthquakes over in Greece that are going absolutely berserko. And, I mean, when anytime you have as many earthquakes as you have over in that region, you know that there's some things that are going to be coming on and popping, shall we say. Um, and so we just have to understand that not only do we have all this energetic energy coming through, but we also have to deal with the real world implications. And sometimes here, it's not sometimes, here in the near future, a lot of us will have to start becoming more aware of how to interact with authorities or adversarial forces that are going to be targeting our spiritual practice simply because they just don't understand, or on the more clearer side of life is that they just don't care. They want to force their belief system to fulfill their propaganda and their narrative that they want to move forward in. So I want you to really be mindful as we go through this podcast today of any things that you're starting to hear, that you're starting to feel, that maybe you need to actually bring in a little bit more to your own practices. And today I want to share some deeper secrets and actionable steps to fortify your practice, shielding your energy, and maintaining your autonomy, sorry, as a practitioner of the occult, divine arts, divinations, the craft, whatever your path is. Okay. So let us first discuss some of the threats and understand literally what I am speaking of, why this podcast was so important for me to make. One of the first things that I want to talk about is historically, spiritual practices have been misunderstood and more often than not have been prosecuted for or criminalized for those beliefs. And this is very relevant. It is practical because you can look at any civilization that has had any type of alchemy with the craft or any kind of spiritual practices that are not Christian beliefs, that those become a source of taboo or of just not being able to completely like get behind because now it is not acceptable, if that makes sense. Kind of babbled on that. So, um, our practices, whether they are magical, ritualistic, if you're in the occult, these can really draw some unwanted attention from people of authority or think that they have authority. And really, it's more so those that are afraid of the change that is coming. Because as with the goddess rises, as this shift happens, as we shift over from this patriarchal bullshit into what we have all who are becoming tapped in, turned on, however, we all see, right? And so it's really important that through this shift, you're being mindful, you're being careful, you're being protective of your craft. Um, Especially for the fact that right now we're starting to see the amount of energy vampires, the manipulative influences that a lot of us have had to really just cut ties with. Um, for me, I literally looked at a whole of my client list and I was shocked to realize that majority, I would say 98% of my clients were only trying to take, they weren't doing any of the work. They were parroting everything I said. And so you started to see these energy vampires popping up all over, especially when these last 2, 3 years, you started to see these manipulative influences, specifically certain spiritual organization that is out there currently. I mean, if you look at that, it just completely fell apart right in front of the owner's face. And that is because her her business model was completely one of, and I'm not going to mention the name of this organization, but those that know me know pretty much who I'm speaking of. But her whole organization has collapsed around her. And that is what happens when you move forward in any kind of spell work, craft work, etc., the occult, and you have a manipulative influence that is your whole goal. Your whole goal is self-centered, self-right, self-enduring, and um, really never giving to your community. You give them something. You give them, and this is something that I've learned from many gurus. You can give them academia, right? You can give them schoolwork, bookwork, but are they really doing the work? This is taking you back to the days of school when you would watch somebody literally, hey, can I borrow your notes? Right? So again, we're back in that and we really need to be a little bit more mindful. Um, and I would like to expand a little bit more beyond like just these um obvious current social potential legal challenges ahead for us. But I also want to speak of these energetic predators and the manipulative forces that are trying to compromise our work. And again, bringing awareness to organizations that are literally you have been following, you have been a part of, you have been getting your certifications from, you're starting to see them all crumble because they were not just in their practice, sisters. Be mindful of that. So if you're part of an organization or you've been affiliated with an organization and you're starting to see this crumble of their business models, their sales numbers, et cetera, about their business, you really need to become mindful and protective of your energy space. Now, my business was very much thriving as I left Facebook, as I left all of those social medias. And I realized that because I was leaving that, I was going to be losing a good amount of my clients, my sisters, my tribe. And what I have found since doing that and recreating it in a safer space where I could actually protect my work, I have seen my sisters come back to me that are true, that are authentic, that are not out there to be manipulative or energy vampires. So those are things you will see, you will start to understand. Um, and that's, again, internalizing your vulnerabilities. My biggest vulnerability was that I was so easily accessible on these social media platforms, and it caused a lot of energy to be drained from me from different sources that weren't doing the work. They just weren't doing the work. So the other thing is you will also start to see how much you've overcommitted yourself. Right now, as a spiritual pr that pro practitioner, practitioner of the occult, spirituality, religious, I'm sorry, not religious, real root my words just got completely baffled. Ritualistic or the occult, those are times where you're going to see that, wow, I was overcommitting myself. Um, and maybe at that point also you had begun to maybe share too much or not maintain boundaries, um, that you kind of left open in a way like they had a back door to come in and start exploiting. Another thing is that we need to really become right now more mindful and kind of draw back and reassess our whole practice, our whole coven. Um, it is a really important time to see where all of your coven is. Where are they on their journey? Are they reaching the milestones? Are they stepping back and not actually doing the work? They just want the results. So those are some things that you want to start really understanding and seeing what's going on so that you're not getting this overcommitment, but you're actually getting to see the results. And a lot of the gurus, and I've got to come back to this. Um, one of the things that they are showing us is that we do see a huge amount of people that are relying on textbook or workbooks or these manipulative influences that decided to start a program or etc. How those are actually now starting to unthread and unravel because you gave them something, right? You gave them all of this information, but all they did is read through it and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, now I know, yeah, I know. I read that. Okay, you read that. You know. But how are you using it in your life? Are you using it in your life or are you just, it was just a notch on your belt? Are you really alchemizing what you have learned? Are you practically using it in your life? And this will be shown because they don't have real grounding. They don't have real grounding techniques that keep them in a place where they can continuously move forward, and there's a lot of turbulent energetic energy right now on our landscape. This is what I was saying. We have the frequency of the earth, we have all of these other frequencies that are coming in. And so some of the real deep spiritual workers, you might even be seeing that you're having a hard time just really grounding in. And you have to be mindful of those too, because at that point you become more vulnerable for not only the legal aspects of everything from Project 2025, but you also will start to see those energy attacks from those manipulative influencers. So if you start to feel like your grounding practices are not like fully getting to where you normally are grounded in, really step back and assess and understand, where are these threats coming from? So let us now talk a little bit more about the deep secrets that you can use for not just your personal, but your professional protection. And again, this is jumping us back to fundamentals of our practice. They had us go over these fundamentals, these grounding practices, these intense life rituals to understand that we have to stay building our energetic shields. We have to stay super grounded. We have to make sure that our daily protection rituals are done religiously every day. Um, and you have to remember that that's going to help keep that personal shield up, right? Your barrier. Um, and maybe you need to maybe it's time to refresh your protection crystals that you wear. Maybe it's time to switch up from the black tourmaline to your black obsidian, or your black obsidian with switch it out for your black tourmaline, or actually just wearing both of them. You know what I mean? It's just about really making sure that your personal shield is impenetrable. You cannot let people in right now to this, because it will affect your growth forward, especially those of us that have been tapped to lead in this next chapter forward. And I know that there are some that are hearing this that are going, "Uh, oh, okay, yes." Because this is for you, sisters. This is for you to understand that the visions that you're getting are justified, because we are at that cusp where we are going to see this turn happen in real time. And you already have been told what your path is. You already are knowing. Those of us that have been a little bit more clued in, 10 years or more, kind of have just been sitting here kind of waiting for this to happen. We know that there's a lot of young sisters, young leaders of our spiritual community that are still just now starting to quote unquote come online. Um, and so those of us that have been in it for a little while, that we have seen what's coming up, we're here to just help you, guide you through that. And that's what this is. This is to help guide you through that. And you have to remember, as a spiritual person, a leader, whether you're magical, ritualistic, or if you're in the occult, it is super important to always start your day, spend that first 5 minutes just grounding into your breath, visualizing this immense protective sphere around you, and those of us that know, we know that it isn't just wishful thinking, it's actually a deliberate act of will that many ancient practitioners have used to safeguard their own energy. So we are carrying on that torch. Um, Making sure, sisters, that you are getting out there, you are taking your mindful walks in nature, you are connecting with earth by touching soil, touching trees, touching flowers, and using that any deep grounding meditations. I have a few that you can use that are on this YouTube. Message me in the comments and I will give you the link for it. Um, and it just really, really brings you into a state of groundedness and allows you to have that protection bubble around you. So let's talk a little bit about the legal protections that you may be able to use because those are something that some of us are going to already have to fight, like have in place right now. One of the biggest ones is a lot of us have gone and gotten ordained and turned our businesses to temples, and that is what I have done. I've turned mine completely over into a temple. We are Muse Goddess Botanica and Temple. We are super excited to have anybody that would like to join us. We do candle service. We have full and new moon services that are going to be starting up here very soon. I'm just still in the process of getting all of this together. We are on Mighty Network. You can reach out to me and I can give you an invite. Um, to be on our Mighty Network, you need to be a part of um, my goddess Cove, and that is on my website. It is $7.47 a month, and you will have access to all of that. I also do readings for my members. I also do life path coaching. I do a lot for the $7.47 a month. So if you're interested, please also again reach out or in my bio is a link to my website. So for legal practices, I am by no means a lawyer, any means, but one practical measure to ensure that all your work is protected is by making sure you're documenting it as spiritual and artistic expression. That will protect your work in a small iota. Also, you want to start to make sure that you are keeping super clear records, you are keeping up on your disclaimers, and you are maintaining a code of ethics within your practice that has been reviewed by other lawyers. Um, Something else you might want to do right now, and I am pondering this as well, is anonymity and discretion. Um, some ways you may be able to protect your identity when it is necessary is maybe using a pseudonym for your public work. If you feel like you may attract legal or social attention. And like I said, I am really leaning more towards going under the umbrella of my own temple. And so that is how I am trying to focus the protection around my group, my business. And it also is going to allow me to maintain private spaces online and offline for, our more esoteric work, which is why I said that I offer new and full moon circles, which are going to be coming up again here very shortly. And in those, we do spell work, we do rituals, we do many different types of craft, and we also are focused on building our community together. And so we share our time together in a very organized and very mindful way. And I feel that the way that I have set this container is very safe. It's very productive. And it also allows for freedom of expression to practice within whatever it is that they're practicing without having any type of bias or any type of judgments. So there we have that one. So yeah, so think about using a pseudonym maybe. Making sure you have community agreements. Every time I hold circle, I have four agreements. If you can't agree to those four agreements, I ask that you please leave the space because those four agreements are our foundation, period, full stop. That's all there is to it. So having community agreements is really, really important, especially within Circle, because it allows us to have the confidentiality. It allows us to have respectful um, practice and rituals. It also allows us to be able to have a container that will allow for understanding and caring and a path forward so that you don't feel like you're being held back. Um, a lot of the times you will encounter again the word I say all the time are closed practices. And not everybody is um at that level. So they kind of need a safer space to be able to explore those. And I have that. Um, Something you can also do is create a spiritual inner emergency kit. So we talked about that a little bit in the last one for on a go if you have to grab it. And those would contain small portable kit with items that you can use in a pinch if you find yourself in a hostile environment. Again, a ritual candle or birthday candle, great for putting in a little tins. A small vial of sacred oil. I love La Bomba, that balm oil, right? And it's always good to have for a quick anointing or quick protection. Again, small crystal, if you can put a mala bead strand with this kit, you will be awesome. But having black tourmalines, black obsidians, to help you ground in as like a talisman. I have a nice little chunk of black obsidian that I always love to rub and just, especially when I'm in circle, I hold it very sacred to me. So in the moment of an emergency, this piece would be the first thing that I would throw in my kit. A piece of cord or twine or yarn so that you can have something symbolic for cord cutting. Some type of satchel of cleansing herbs with Palo Santo, rue, angelica, um, alum, uh, let's see, sage, of course. Um, Something else like a little personal token or maybe even a sigil. Like I have a sigil that I keep on my wall for energy because I love my energy work. I'm always, because I'm a moon child, I'm a Cancer. I, all of these things that I have line me up with this super lunar energy. And so I really, I really love that sigil for me, for myself, right? Um, and one of the other things that you can really like lock yourself into, where did it go? Yes. Um, is maybe what was I gonna say? Where'd it go? Uh-huh. Um, so maybe even in that in that little satchel or with your herbs and whatnot, maybe have something that is a personal talisman, and I just said that, that or a personal token, something, something small that you can keep to help you remind yourself of this path, why you're on this path. And one of the great things that you can do is truly just like lighting your candle, anointing it, hold your crystal, maybe recite a short mantra or a short incantation, something just to guide you into, protecting you while you call in this space, calling in an ancestor, um a deity, you having that with you, calling that in, and just grounding yourself in, holding your crystal, holding that little piece of cord to help you remember that you're trying to stay grounded and you want to stay away from these unwanted attachments, especially that are out there. With your small little satchel or your herbs, you can just simply having them right there in your circle on your little altar space that you're creating for the go, and just simply ground into that and allow that to be everything for you, because we need to remember our basics. We need to stay with our basics. Okay. And so building that sacred routine, making sure you're deep in your daily routines, your daily rituals, keeping yourself grounded, keeping your meditations. Sisters, it is vitally important that we keep our meditations going and staying strong with our meditations, journaling, and also again any energy clearing practices. If you feel like you need extra help, you can hit me up on my website, Muse Goddess Botanica. Link is in the bio. I do a lot of energy clearing, washes. I have many products that will help you to really just remove that. And all of my products, especially my washes and my floor washes and my cleanses, they are all concentrates, so you can actually do a 3 or 4 to 1 ratio and still have all of the benefits. So again, that's on my website. Link is in the bio. So building your sacred rituals every day, getting involved with your community, making sure you're understanding what's going on. If you are not in a community and you are listening, I invite you to join my community, join my full and new moon circles. They are safe, transformative spaces where we come together and we honor our deities, our ancestors, the divine. We share our experiences, we support one another. And we get a little magical, witchy, and a little occult. So, yeah. Um, Another thing that you can really do to integrate this direction into your daily life to make sure that you're staying deep within your practices is looking into different guided meditations, different occult teachings, learning your goddess worship, and also, again, understanding magical practices from every walk of life, every corner of the world. There is no one way is the right way. Okay. And so I encourage you to reach out, share your experiences that you've been going through right now, with how the current society is making you feel when it comes to this type of Project 2025 and how to protect your practice. Um, and so before we log off today and we say goodbye until the next episode, I want you to take a moment today to check your own personal energy. How are you feeling? And if you're seeing, oh, I got some anxiety, I'm feeling a little tense. Maybe this is your call today to take a quick grounding meditation. Or maybe just simply close your eyes and begin to envision your beautiful protective shield surround you. And let's begin to make these two practices, three practices, make them a habit. And so, with that, I am Shannon. I am here to guide you through this chaotic yet transformative time. Let's prepare, protect, and move forward with clarity and strength. And on our next episode, we are going to dive into a little bit more about what Project 2025 is and how protecting our roots and how Project 2025 could impact our spiritual practices and other ways to stay resilient through this time. I want to break it down a little bit more because Project 2025 is actually a serious threat to anyone who has a botanica, practice Santeria, practice hoodoo, or honestly, anybody that practices any ancestral practices, this one's going to be for you. I appreciate you. Again, I am Shannon, and then I see you on our next one. Ashe o aho, and may you have the most blessed day.